Hello, good evening, and welcome to tonight's show. Tonight's show is all about sculpting. We're going to be sculpting. If you're new to the show, then please let me know that you're here. Give a hey, give a hello. If you're watching right now, just say hello in the chat. It's just nice for me to know who is watching, who's here, and all that kind of stuff. If you're new, the way the show works is that we go on for about 2 hours, but lately it's been more like 4 hours. We go on for at least 2 hours, and then we just keep going. Everything we do in the stream will be uploaded to YouTube afterwards, so you can always rewatch it if you need to leave in the middle of the show. That's all good, etc., etc., etc. And I pretty much just gonna be working a little bit. And today is it's all about sculpting, so I'll be sharing some tips and tricks here and there about kind of my process lately, etc., etc., etc. And if you have any questions about the stuff, feel free to ask. Please use the comment section or the chat or whatever. Use the chat as much as possible. It's always great when we have a lively discussion going on. Also, if you have questions about anything else, then feel free to ask away in the chat as well. It could be literally about anything. I'm an open book. That's how it goes. Around the 1 hour mark, so at my time 9 or something, we'll take a little 5-minute break so you can get to, I don't know, grab a snack or go to the bathroom or something like that, and then we'll continue onwards from that. There will also be some light music playing in the background as we're moving along through the stuff. And please let me know if all the levels of the different stuff, like the microphone and the music and stuff, if that's all tip top. Otherwise, just scream into the chat and I will try to regulate the stuff. Cool, I've already got some people in the chat. We've got Schultz Division, hello. Gabriel Brasolin, hello from Italy, hello from Denmark. Or hello. Cool. So we're gonna be doing some sculpting, and I already have some sculpting stuff. Hello Rishi from India, nice. Okay, it's either mega late or mega early for you, I'm guessing. Probably more like mega early. Glad you can join, etc., etc., etc. Sculpting wise, then I already have I have a couple of tutorials on YouTube going through my sculpting process, kinda, and I would say it's changed a little bit, especially with some of the newer tools in Blender, and I want to share a little bit about that kind of stuff. There's not enough time to go through everything, but I have actually been considering doing a course or something on sculpting, but it's just a loose thought right now. Either way, but I want to take you through some of those things, and let's get into it. So today's thing is that we're probably going to be sculpting a creature. And I've been doing a little bit of thinking that either I should do a creature from scratch, right? Or I want to do something I've already done before. I did this sketch of this creature a while back called the clip jaw for obvious reasons. It's kind of this 6-limbed thing, and it kind of has a little bit of more like regular arms with almost sloth-like claws or something like that. I imagine this is a thing that can kind of latch on to like a bigger creature or something like that, and then dig its head into the side of the flesh. Maybe making something like that, and maybe I also did this one. This one's kind of fun. It also has these little red creatures there, so I'm not quite sure exactly what to do, but there's a few options. But I'm gonna turn on some music. Maybe the music will help me think. Just gonna let it ride there, and then you just let me know if it's absolutely awful. Okay, thank you. I see System has also joined. System Futuro seems like a nice place to hang. Thanks for sharing. You're welcome, no problem. Nikolai Tackle Buck, I guess you could be Danish, huh? Hey William, would you recommend the animation workshop in Viborg for someone who wants to end up working in pre-production? Would I recommend that? So, I mean, I went to the animation workshop myself, right? So, for those who don't know, the animation workshop is a school in northern Denmark. It's a really nice school. It's called the Animation Workshop, but it's not primarily an animation school. It's it has a whole bunch of there's 3 different lines basically. There's like an animation line, a computer graphics line, and a graphic storytelling line. And I myself studied there from 2016 to 2020, and I was on the line called computer graphics. And on the animation line, you learn animation. So you learn both 2D animation and 3D animation, and that's pretty much what you learn more than anything. Like sure, there's stuff like storyboarding and stuff, but you don't learn that much storyboarding. Animation is relevant for storyboarding, of course, but it's an animation line. On the computer graphics line, you learn a whole bunch of stuff. It's all of it is a little bit more geared towards like potentially doing animated films. I would say a lot of the stuff is that, but it's very applicable for doing game stuff or doing other stuff. And lately, a lot of concept artists who primarily, I guess, work in pre-production have come out of the school. And a lot of concept artists have come out of the school because concept art more and more requires a very wide skill set. Not always, but a lot of the times a very wide skill set. You've probably seen that the 3D is more and more of a thing. And a lot of people from the computer graphics line, they don't learn Blender, which is the tool that you should use. They learn Maya, they learn Mari, they learn Substance, they learn ZBrush, all these tools. I learned those tools also. But you learn the knowledge of 3D, and the knowledge is incredibly like applicable to other things. You learn about texturing, rigging, modeling, sculpting, all those things. But I think more than anything, I think the environment and the culture at the school is generally quite good. It's very easy to make friends, very easy to make connections with people who want to do similar things, in that sense. But I would say that like the school is not a pre-production school. You build a lot of stuff that is production, but I came out of it. I was very, very happy that I went to school because you just learn so many different things. So also a great opportunity to get challenged and try things that you might not have thought would be great and awesome. If you're really, really, really certain you want to do something like just concept art or something like that, then there's schools like New Edge in France, which is a concept art school. But I would probably choose the Animation Workshop over that. I wanted to do concept art before I went to school. I came out of school, still wanted to do concept art, but I'm so happy that I learned all the different stuff, because I think it really opened my eyes to how much I could actually do myself, which I do not think I would have gotten if I went to something like New Edge. New Edge is probably a great school. I think, in fact, New Edge is a great school. Like the students who come out are really good, but you get a very different skill set, and I really like that. So sorry, that was a little bit of a detour from the thing, but there was a question there. Clipjaw looks like a bit like a subnautic creature. Yeah, it does actually. There's the specific weird shark thing with the mouth. I think I actually looked at that. That would make perfect sense with the stuff. Something similar like that. Plexiglass. Hello, Plexi. Welcome to the stream. Nikolai writes, I attended Grenaa 3D College and would like to build my education. I think there was a couple of people in my class who had went to Grenaa 3D College and then they used the Animation Workshop to build. I think Animation Workshop is a very good place to do that. I was just there teaching actually. When was that? 3 weeks ago, something like that. I'm going back teaching at the school. I just taught the computer graphics line, and then I'm going back in February to teach graphic storytelling in concept art in Blender. So. Hello Rishi, your work is amazing. Please make more tutorials in detail. I appreciate the compliments. I don't know in the foreseeable future what will happen with tutorials. I'm really busy with other stuff. Right now I can do this live streams. That's kind of what I have the time and the energy to do. But hopefully, maybe something will come. But I don't want to make any false promises. Hello, Blixa. Evening. Okay, back to the sculpting. I think I've actually been thinking about maybe doing something along the lines of, you know, those creatures from Evolve, the game that failed. Like the Goliath creature here. I think that's what it was called. This thing. It's a little bit over the top, but you know what? I think that would be super fun to make. Just something completely demonic and ridiculous. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to make something like that. So I think I'm gonna freestyle a little bit. If somebody was hoping for this, then I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna freestyle, basically. Okay, cool. So, Blender, sculpting. Also, other things. I've got a new headset. This is a HyperX Cloud 3. And the reason is that my old headset looks like this. Holy smokes. Oh, I just broke it even more. It looks like this. So you know, that's not great. And basically what happened was that this headset is a headset called the Cooler Master MH751. And of all the headsets I've tried ever in my life, it is by far the most comfortable headset. These cups that I took off, it's the headset is so light, it's so comfortable. The music was too hard for the headset, exactly. It was so comfortable. The sound was very mid, I would say. Like it was a little bit too tinny. Like it wasn't. It's good sound, but it was a little bit too tinny for my taste. But I got used to it, I think. But it was so comfortable. It was just ideal, like in every way. But there's a fault in the design of the headset where one of the screws slowly grinds into the wire of the headset, and it just breaks. I've had 3 pairs of those headsets, and yeah, I finally given up. Like I think it was just a stupid thing. And I got these ones, and they're comfortable, but they're just not as comfortable. Like those ones, I would forget that I wore them. They were so comfortable. I don't think I'll ever find headsets. And before anyone, I mean, maybe you guys have good headset suggestions, but I've tried a lot, and I think I'm very particular about my headset, and it's more about comfort and fit than sound quality, which makes me sound stupid, but that's just how it is. I don't do a lot of audio critical work, so you know, and watch most stuff on YouTube anyways, where the sound quality is not as good as elsewhere. Okay, sculpting. So, as you guys might know, if you guys are new to sculpting or interested in sculpting, then I have some tutorials on sculpting, right? I have this one down here, creature concept art in Blender, which is a lot of sculpting. There's some sculpting in this T-Rex one. These T-Rex ones here. There's some sculpting there. There's a little bit of sculpting in this sea creature one. Oh, and there's a fair bit of sculpting in this, how I create characters for game development and stuff like that. Just for your information, if you want something a little bit more structured. Either way, oh, this music is too loud for me. There we go. What was the point? However, you know, it changes, like exactly how I want to sculpt something changes, but I would say there's generally 2 ways of going about it. There is kind of what I would call the from a ball way, and that's, I guess that comes from ZBrush, because you would kind of just start from here. Oh, is it? Blender is freezing. It's because I undid. I think it's the undo. like this. Oh, I wanted to prepare something actually for today, but I forgot. So you kind of start like this, and then you just, you know, maybe you got your arm here, you remesh, you got a leg here, stuff like that. Like, so that's one way of starting, and then you just mold out and mold out until you got what you need. But I actually tend not to work like that. I think in ZBrush it's a lot easier to work like this because you just have a little bit more resolution and the tools are a little bit more refined. But in Blender I actually prefer working with a block out. So I have something like this, mirror, bisect, then it should be like that here. I work with a block out. That's how I usually work, at least. Like this, right? So this is a block out. Then you have, maybe you have like a head and some leg stuff. You know, this is a block out. You get what I'm. This is the worst block out ever, but it's a block out, right? And then I block all those things out, and then I convert the whole thing into something that's sculptable, and then I take it from there basically. And the advantage of doing the block out is that I end up thinking a lot more, and I also end up not letting my hand do all the work. Like as soon as I get to use the pen, you know, to do stuff, then my hand takes control, and it kind of says like, oh, this form feels good to make right now. It feels fun to make this thing, but I'm not actually making a great design or anything like that. So I think a block out is works really, really well for me. Not always. Sometimes you just want to sit down and sculpt, and it just being a fun process. Especially if you're doing something a little bit more artistic, then I think that's so. But we're gonna be blocking out, and there's some nice tools in Blender to help us out. We're gonna be doing some kind of Goliath kind of creature, like the creature we looked at before. So I'm just gonna split this here, like that, and maybe actually I want this on the other side. There we go. So I have my X in the positive. For some reason that feels good, like that. And then we're gonna block some stuff out like this, and I'm gonna create some kind of torso, maybe hunched over, something like that. And I can even think about it like this, you know, can have a pelvis here. We will have some kind of spine element, something like that. Maybe I'll have a head like that. And the blockout, the point of the blockout is just to create a mass, you know, a simple mass. A simple mass to build from. Hello. Hello. I assume I pronounced that correctly. I feel very, unless it's like genuinely a way to write something, that would be great. And then it's just like, oh my god, you insensitive prick, or whatever the word would be. That would be but then it's like, oh my god, how dare you, that's my actual name, like something like that. Okay, cool. And I think I'm gonna grab a little, not a cube, I think that's gonna be a cylinder. I'm gonna give it a mirror also. Do I actually make money from this, or do I do it for fun? Do I make money from doing art, or do I make money from doing the stream? What is your question? This modeling, so like this one I'm just doing for fun. Like I'm just doing this for the stream basically. So this is for you guys, you know. I might use it for something later on, but right now there's no commercial intent with this specific asset I'm making here. Let's see here. These can quickly become legs. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, these tiny legs. Let's see here. And the balance is very important, that we figure out the correct balance for everything. Let's see here. I think maybe I want something. I kind of like the idea of having that tail. Don't know if that's how I wanna. What if it's like a long tail, kind of like a weird, thick crocodile tail? You know, I just saw the latest trailer for the next Godzilla film, and there's like 2 Godzilla films coming. Oh, one of them is a Kong film, I guess, technically. But then there's also like the Godzilla -1 thing, and I was like, what the actual hell? If it's like, see, the thing is that I can now use this to figure out something. Like, and I can see it in the abstract, and maybe there's a certain feeling I'll get from this very abstract version that I just wouldn't get otherwise. That's kind of the hope here. Maybe there's something about how low these arms are. Maybe it actually has multiple legs. The Godzilla -1 is a film, I think. And then there's a series on Apple. So there's 3 things actually. There is the series on Apple called Legacy of Monarch Legacy of Monsters, I think. And then there is a new film called Godzilla X Kong something. And then there is Godzilla -1. I think Godzilla -1 is a film. And yeah, that's crazy. And the series on Apple TV is like Monarch Legacy of Monsters. Stupid title. It's the same universe as Godzilla X Kong, so the Kongzilla verse. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, the series looks really good. Like, it's kind of, I would say it's movie level, like CG. The you know, I would say the story and the plot and the acting is on par with the films. So, you know, figure that out for like whatever you feel like that corresponds to. It's not great. That's I think that's the point. I kind of feel like the head should. I mean, if I just make the head longer, then it'll feel even more crocodilian. Who was it said that? There was the Game Factory. A little bit Croc vibes from. Yeah, but is it Croc vibes or like what's it called? Lizard? The lizard. The doctor, whatever. Yes, that was where I saw it also, through the Corridor Crew. That's exactly. Dula writes, -1 is a film from Japan, Godzilla X Kong is a film from America. So exactly, that's the thing. That's exactly the thing. The -1, I mean, and I think honestly, like, I think it's cool that the Japanese studio is doing like a Godzilla more, let's say, much closer to the original Godzillas, and maybe it has a little bit of the goofiness. At least when you see the design, it's quite goofy. I actually think that the new Godzilla design they did was like for the Kong Zillaverse. I think it's pretty good. Like the newest trailer, it's just like it's got a new pink look and stuff, and it's not really. It's kind of ridiculous. Let's see here. What can we? Maybe we give it horns. This looks kind of ridiculous right now. Oh, I don't know. Kind of makes it look like a Pokemon. It doesn't look that terrifying, which is my biggest gripe right now. I think it's probably because of the slovenly, but it kind of has like a little bit of like, I don't think crocodile is too bad of a thing actually. Definitely also in the Godzilla vibes. 15 million budget, and oh my god. No, I mean, I'm totally with you. The Godzilla vibe from the '98, I was so in love with that design as a kid. I remember forcing my mom to draw the thing, because I was trying to, like, as a kid, I was trying to draw the Godzilla from the '98 version. I was trying to draw it by hand, and I couldn't make it look the way I wanted to look, and I was so obsessed with it for some reason. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I forced my mom to draw the thing for me, and what was it? I was so obsessed that I had a costume. I think my mom had made for me as a child, I guess it was like a dragon or a dinosaur costume, and I got her to paint it like kind of the like hues of purple and stuff, so it was like the Godzilla thing from '98. So you know, there you go. So I'm totally with you, Schultz. Like no, this is not. So you can see just with this method we're getting a lot of the creatures like feel, of course, with just it's a little bit too I want it to be a bit more demonic, I think. This head is way too small. Needs to be a little bit more of a brute. Try that with the horns again here. I just don't like it. Maybe there's something about like that kind of a head. Okay, we still got all these guys separated. Something about the silhouette that I like. I just wanna fill that hole a little bit there. I'm just going for the feel right now. Like I was considering using a concept, but I might actually take this like this and do a quick draw over to get an idea for what I want. Let's see here. What's a good pose to get this from? Kind of want to see the side. Yeah, something like this. Go random here, grab this, and bring it in here. Let's try this. Oh yeah. There we go. Okay, that feels good. Let's see. What have we actually got going on here? We got some kind of a weird maybe we got this like longer kind of pictorials. Then let's see, what do we do with the claws here? Then what's very interesting is the head and stuff, like how that's all gonna come together. Oh, maybe I have an idea now actually. Maybe it's something more like yeah, right now it looks like it could be kind of big, right? Especially with the posture also, because it's getting that like Godzilla vibes and stuff. But I'm actually thinking maybe it's like 10 meters tall. Maybe it's like, you know, maybe it's like that. It is a big lizard. I'm just not sure if this is the feel. Is this the feel? Kind of sometimes you just have to see it in a slightly different way, then it all makes sense. I need here. I always want something with a bit of a crazier shape. Maybe something that. So these are more like side flaps. They're not Godzilla ones like that. They kind of. These guys kind of come out on the sides and then. Why would I have this big ass tail? Well, there could be all kinds of reasons. Asks, what is your most successful game? What do you mean by that? What are my games? Metal Gear Solid 1. Thank you for asking. Are you just asking the chat? Or do you mean like favorite game? Right, yeah, looking at, that's what I was like, maybe there's something kinda different in, because it could also be that it's something like that instead. That's interesting actually. Kind of, but these horns, they're so easy to do, and then maybe it just doesn't have the horns like that. You know what? It's almost like a Christmas tree, like with these flares, which is appropriate, I guess. It's something like this. Is it a little bit smaller? If that doesn't work, if you also scale the guy. I could just scale the guy, I guess. How big is this thing? It's still pretty big. It's it has a little bit of a bear vibe. You know, like when a bear stands up, and I kinda like that. But then a little bit more lizard, you know. It's almost like this is a weird dragon. You know what this reminds me of? I'll show you exactly now. That's literally what I just made. I just made this. I mean, I was thinking about it like 1 minute ago. I was kind of like, doesn't it? I'm like, no. And then now that I see it, I'm like, you know. What is people? Schultz is writing. No, Padmark is writing. You're very talented. Best regards. I appreciate it, Padmark. Schultz writes, I kind of like the creature design from Sin from Final Fantasy X when it unfolds the wings at the end of the game. Looks awesome. I've never actually really played. I only played Final Fantasy VII because everyone was like, "Oh, it's great," but it's not really my thing. Sin. But my friend, he's played a lot of them, and he always told me that like some of the stories for the games are just absolutely crazy. Oh, this one, yeah. You know what I really like? The Shadow of the Colossus. This is great. It'd be cool to do something like that. A little bit more. Gabriel writes, try some big jaw and forehead knife-like spikes. Forehead. I mean, this is just turning into me drawing instead of me sculpting. I'm supposed to sculpt. Let's do. We'll do. I don't care. It'll be something like this, and then it's like even you see. Okay, this was a complete just like I'm like, oh, that feels like good balance. Like you have a little bit of spikes here, you have some spikes there, and then there's just this clean part here, and then look at this. Look at that. A little bit of spikes there, clean part, and then spikes. Oh, that's all I can see now. We'll change it. We'll do something about it. Okay, so that was our thing here. Let's get back to this one. You can watch all the streams later. As you can see, if you check the live section on the Critical Giants channel, then everything that was previously there is uploaded and available for rewatching. So you should be good. So if you have to yeet, then you can do so at your own leisure. I guess it can have a little bit of pangolin vibes. Yeah, okay. I'm feeling this. This is I can see it. I can see it. Okay, we gotta remesh this. So let's set this to something a little bit lower here. Ooh, this is not good. And let's apply this. Because it has a bunch of intersecting stuff. We could try with bisect. There we go. That should give us a little bit. And there, also these ones. These ones. I'm gonna keep the arms and legs separate, so I can have a little bit of control. Okay, now I got this. So now I'm gonna grab the clay stress brush. I'm gonna set it to Schultz there with the saves. Yes, I will save. I will save immediately. Let's call it. No, actually, let's put it in. We have a stream one. Should have a stream one. Stream. Let's call it Big Liz. There we go. Thank you. So looks like a Metal Gear. And then the Sahelanthropus you sent me is like a monkey. Or it's like a prehistoric human. Is what I'm finding when I'm googling it. Oh no, it's that thing. I see. Okay. There we go. So what I want to do is I want to very quickly establish some muscle zones, I think. We do have this kind of like maybe spiky scaly stuff, but I want to get some big shapes in, like a sense for a trapezius kind of thing going on here. And then like a latissimus. Getting that in there. Getting that there. Smoothing that out a bit. And then we can even have a little bit of spike stuff here. And all these little shapes we can use a little bit, you know. And then the process is just like sculpting, blocking everything out as much as possible, and then, you know, just hitting Control R for remeshing as we go along. That's almost a trapezius, that thing by itself there. So that's kind of interesting. The question is, I think maybe this creature is going to have a little bit of alien anatomy, so maybe the anatomy won't quite be exactly what we are used to. Let's see. Like this. I think this thing of like separating the arms and the legs, it just at some point I will combine everything, but right now it'll give me a little bit of flexibility to adjust things. And when I'm remeshing, then even if the arm and the leg and stuff is close, then they don't connect and stuff like that. So it has that advantage also right now. And then if I want to switch between them, I can press Alt Q, then you get this orange highlight thing. Alt Q, now I'm actually modeling on this thing, and then I could sculpt on this thing, and now I'm sculpting on that thing. Very, very handy. I think we need to figure out what that face is all about. And these kind of flares here, how they exist. There we go, there we go, there we go. There we go. So this neck could come up a little bit here. Something like that. I do not have Dyntab on. I just press Control R and for remesh. So Shift R, come on, R for adjusting the resolution, and then Control R for remeshing everything. Using the did I just fuck up? Oh, I might have fucked up because I just adjust that size there. Pray for me. Hi Ryan, hi Open. I didn't say hi to Ryan, sorry, I was there. Okay, we should be back. That was crazy. I think the remesh just it made the whole computer freeze, and then I had to restart the computer, and then I managed to get a little bit of in the autosave there. So we still got a little bit of sculpting, so we need to we just need to catch up a little bit here again. But we should be back. Probably lost a bunch of people there, but it's all good. I'm gonna find the music real quick. Songs, stream playlist. There we go. I don't know how it was a happy accident. Just accident. There we go. Okay, back to the fold here. make sure not to do that again. It happens from time to time, you know, that whole thing. Oh, did I have stuff that was open here and there? I probably did. Not to worry. Oh, I even had the creature design in the thing. Let's see what Photoshop tends to be pretty good at doing kind of decent autosave. So that's way too little. 0.5. Yeah, that's good for now. That's good. That's good. See here. So I'm just going through these muscle groupings and stuff and trying to block all these things out. And I'm gonna try to ignore that the whole crash happened, but it's gonna be very evident in the stream. It's my assumption. But hey, it was bound to happen, you know. That's just how it is. Like that. And then there was the natural trapezius kind of thing going on there. Then we have the head. That was not intentional. Sorry. There we go. That was not intentional. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I haven't eaten that much food today, so I think my head is a little bit... I have some food here on the right side to get me back on track, and I will scoop some of it as soon as it's ready. This time it's Huel. This music really reminds me of like Hearthstone. It's not Hearthstone music, it's just some... don't really... We'll try using that weird bone tool where you can kind of adjust stuff. Music, okay? There's music. Damn. This is the 16th stream, right? And I still cock it up. You know. I'm so sorry. Maybe on the 100th stream I will have somebody who's like can manage it. You and just make a real good streaming time. Can you hear the music now, by the way? Is it too low, too loud? Give me the words. Okay. Okay, so I don't like the side silhouette that much. I do kind of like it here and stuff. Maybe, a tad louder. Boop. Okay, you can't hear it, so. Wait, for me it's actually a pretty good. Try that. We'll try that. Okay. Got a little bit of that stuff there. Guys, shoot me with some questions. I love questions. Literally anything. Doesn't even have to be about art. It can be about life. Or games. We just talked about games before. I haven't actually played games in a while. No, it's you know, maybe you also felt this, but I feel like my taste has just gotten more and more critical the older I've gotten with some things. Maybe to a fault, where I give nothing a chance. Like it's almost like I was playing, you know, the game studio Giant Squid. Is that what they're called? I think. So it was founded by the people who had done Journey. You know, Journey, the game with the little red guy in the sand and stuff like this. And they've done games like Apsu, and then they've done this game called The Pathless. And I think all the games have awesome, they always have great art style and visual identity, and they have a pretty great musical identity also, because it's Austin Wintory who's doing most of the music. I think all the music actually. However, I really like Journey. It's like one of my favorite games. I think it's great. I think Apsu was a bit weaker. I loved what they've done with the fish and the life and stuff in the sea. That was really cool. I saw a GDC talk on how they've done some of the functionality with the fish, which was super interesting. But and then Pathless, I also think it looked cool and interesting. It was a little bit more of a gamey game. I didn't like it. I think people described it as like a mix between Journey and Shadow of the Colossus, and I was like, oh, I'm mega hooked. It was too gamey for me. And it wasn't even that gamey, but I think there was this thing, I don't know, if you played Pathless or not, then basically the way it works is that you have this character, third-person character, quite small on the screen, and you're zooming around the environment. And the way you zoom around the environment, like moving, is by aiming your arrow at these like floating crystals, and then the crystal gives you a spoot, and it feels quite good to play, but it just brought me completely out of the gaming experience, because I was just really aware of the fact that I was playing a game constantly, and from them I was typically expecting something a lot more immersive, which was a shame, because I think it was a really, really good game, like game, but then I think it just felt really flat on the world and stuff, which was also kind of interesting, but it just felt more gamey, and the bosses were kind of cool, and I really liked the design of the bosses and stuff, but it took me out of it. And I think even something like Shadow of the Colossus is like, it has more gameplay almost, but it was still more immersive. I think maybe I had expected something from them that was you know, and I think it's a really loved game, and it is arguably a good game, but for me then it was, I think the way that the world and the story meshed with the gameplay wasn't really what I didn't like it. Like it just didn't work for me. Some questions there from. Cause how long are you learning in Blender? In Blender, so Blender I started using in 2014. That was maybe not the first time I touched it, but it was kind of started using it a little bit for doing a few projects. But then I went to the animation workshop, the school, in 2016, where I was primarily using Maya and those kinds of things. And I wasn't really using Blender at all, but I definitely started missing some features of Blender, and this was back when Blender was 2.79, so that was before 2.8 and before that kind of a change. And I really missed a bunch of stuff, but then then second year, so like 2017, I started using Blender again a little bit, and I was like, you know what, there's some things about this that I really like. And then in third year, so in 2018, 2019, I tried to switch completely to Blender, just because the 2.8 change was coming, and it just seemed like I was like immediately, oh, this is the future. I don't know why I knew that or why I had a feeling for that, but it just felt like they were doing something really unique. And it just kicked off, and it changed, I think, especially the concept industry, and a lot of other stuff also changed. But now it's a massive tool, right? And it was also big back then, but in a very different way. Now it's huge, you know. It's a big tool. So I would say, since that's kind of the time frame. Blixen, where in Denmark do you live? Yes, I live in Copenhagen. I'm also from Copenhagen. So that's I'm in my home turf. Kind of stuff going on. No, I don't want that. That's a little bit too not what I want. Plexi, I'm trying to make a character in Blender, and I'm at a point where I need to start sculpting in details, but I have a subdiv on, and I don't want to remove or apply it. What do I do? Use multires. Did you watch this? This one. There's something about, you know, you have mesh and then using a multi-res to gain extra detail, or this one. The same principle. And then using multi-res. Multi-res is basically a subdivision surface modifier, but way more performant and made for sculpting. You should look that up. Schultz asks, how would you approach making a pixel art game in Blender? I'm actually making a game like music video for a new song I have. How would you approach making a pixel art game in Blender? So you mean pixel art? You don't want to make the game in Blender, right? You like a pixel art. Plexiglass, yes, it keeps the subdiv still accessible, and you can go through different steps of resolution and things. Let's turn the music down a little bit here. For context, the model I have so far was made using blueprints. No sculpting involved so far. It was made using blueprints. Like, you mean GeoNodes? What am I? Oh no, you mean like blueprints, like sheets, right? And then you model from there. Okay. I think the question has been answered. I feel like you found a solution. Dakota writes, I made it, but not for long. What are we up to? We're sculpting Lizard Boy, and we had a crash earlier, so let's ignore that. Oh, do we? That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Kinda. A little bit different. And Have I used ZBrush? Yes, I've used ZBrush. We had to use that in school, so I've used ZBrush for at least like, I would say like 2 years, kinda. Now I'm gonna eat some of my grub from this tub. Does that rhyme? Grub from the tub? Not really. Schultz writes, I used to live when I was a kid on Amager, almost Copenhagen. I mean, if you're from Amager, then it's like, yeah, it's Copenhagen. But if you're not from Amager and you're Copenhagen, it's like, that's not Copenhagen, that's Amager. You know, which is ridiculous because many of the key areas of Copenhagen, like, are on Amager, like Christiania and this is spicy. Like Christiania and some of the other stuff. Yeah, and we've been talking about Godzilla. Dakota, you missed this discussion in the previous something. But it has very strong Gojira vibes. For sure. I want to figure out what's going on here. What the hell? What was that? What was that? Did you guys see that? Do you know what that was? Just had a conversation with Danny Bell and Martin Canala in the hallway about sculpting. Shit was world shattering. Why do I prefer Blender over ZBrush? So the thing is that ZBrush costs money. No, I never really liked ZBrush. I think the nice thing with ZBrush was that the sculpting field was great, and you can go really high resolution. But I think that was kind of it. The rest I kind of disliked, and I have a deep hatred for shifting software and exporting things from one software to another software. It's just, I just really dislike it. So that's why Blender makes so much sense for me, because I think it's just uninterrupted creative flow. But also if I want to do something that's not necessarily organic sculpting, but just slightly different kind of sculpting, or maybe something where you want to use a certain kind of model as a base, you want to combine the sculpt with a little bit of hard surface stuff, then I'd way rather do like hard surface things in Blender than in something like ZBrush. Maybe I should switch the mat cap here actually to this thing. Okay, I need to start properly getting some stuff defined here. Zach writes, dinosaur series was great, inspiring with great. I mean, I appreciate that. I had so much fun making that project, and I definitely learned a lot about like what you could do. I think that also Dakota, that adds something to why I use Blender. I think it's quite clear in the dinosaur series is that if I want to go, you know, mostly I do concept. I don't do high quality like VFX creatures or something like that. For that you don't have to use ZBrush, but it's kind of the tool you would want to use, especially if you have to go really high detail. Then you will struggle a little bit with Blender, I would say. But for concepting and things, then I just have such easy access to doing shaders. And if I potentially wanted to rig something so I could like move it and pose it, then I would way rather have the rigging tools and the flexibility in Blender than whatever you can do in ZBrush. So I weigh those things higher in my personal workflow than what ZBrush might offer. I think at the end of the day, you know, you use what makes sense, but I'm also very much of the opinion that you can find different workflows, and it can be really healthy to find different workflows, especially with tools that maybe are not exactly built for the task. And then if you keep pushing and trying, then maybe you'll find something that nobody else found. And I've had a lot of that kind of stuff with Blender, where I really feel like I can sculpt, pun intended, my workflow much more than with other software. I feel like other software is a little bit more dictating as to exactly how I would need to do something, and this is just very relevant for like a concept workflow. Okay, let's see here. We need to combine these guys a little bit here. I should save. Where just save there. See, I have remembered on my own. Probably the crash that scared me. Plexi writes. So Dakota, you wrote Danny Bell and Martin. I'm not familiar with those people. Who are they? Are they artists, huh? Plexi Riots pulled up the multi-res modifier, and for some reason it won't let me put it after the mirror modifier. No, the multi-res has to be first. That is a downside to it. But you can symmetrize your model, and then you can have X set on here when you're sculpting. So when you bring the model in, then you apply the mirror modifier, and then you it works like this. Maybe you figured it out already, because I was a bit slow to answer, but like this. Then I have my mirror modifier on. I applied visual geometry to mesh. Now it's a mesh. Let's just give it some subdivisions like that. Put on multi-res. There, subdivide, subdivide, subdivide. There we go. Then when I have X on, then blah, 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 I can sculpt in symmetry. And if you needed to symmetrize, then let's say I didn't have X on, then I can go to tools, down to symmetry, and then I can symmetrize here. Oh, I can't do that whilst the this is when multi-res. Oh, I can't do that when that's on, apparently. Did not know that. Did not know that. Okay, you should do that before then. Good to know. You can't symmetrize with the multi-res on it. Schulz, I give A fungus aquatic feel when seeing it from the front side. Oh, this guy. Yeah, something's happening there. Zach, I wish Blender had better simulation solvers. 100,000 million percent. I think simulation is one of the big things that Blender is really bad at, that I wish it was great at. They did like upgrade their fluid sim at some point from something to whatever, like Manta Flow or what it was called, but it was still incredibly slow. Probably the look of the water is better, but it's just so slow. I'd rather want speed and then like a less accurate result. Depending on who you are, you would want something else, but I think it'd be great if they could take a real-time approach, kind of like some stuff that's happening in Unreal and Embergen. Like that kind of stuff would just be great. And also like the rigid body solvers and stuff are just like a little bit slow. Dakota writes, do you respect digital sculptors less if you learned they're not hard on anatomy? It depends on what they're sculpting. I think it's not so much about respect. I think there was this kind of like, it's not so much a thing anymore, but there was this like group of people that referred to as like ZBrush cowboys, and they were basically people who only use ZBrush, and they typically their approach was just to like do anything they could in ZBrush, and it didn't necessarily make them great sculptors, but they could do a lot of detail, and often it seemed impressive. But I guess they were kind of a pain to work with in the industry, because all they would deliver is just whatever ZBrush can provide, and then somebody else would have to like clean it up. I think among ZBrush artists, then maybe those are the ones I have the least respect for. But there are obviously great artists out there who are ZBrush cowboys, but I think it's just like, I think it's nice working in such a way where you feel like you're compatible with other people, or your work is compatible with other people. Generally, I think people's art, especially when they're making creatures and stuff, or characters, whether they're doing stylized or realistic stuff, if they have a greater knowledge of anatomy, their work will be better, because at the end of the day, when you're sculpting something or you're making a character, a fictional thing, then it's an abstraction of reality, right? And the thing you're trying to abstract is probably anatomy or something like that. So why not just learn so you have the tools to abstract it in a different way that maybe hasn't been done before, versus just trying to do something from your brain. You just have less knowledge to work with by not knowing anatomy. So I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not studying anatomy, even if you're doing like really abstract stuff and those kind of things, or really stylized stuff. But I don't respect them less. I just think I prefer artists who tend to be kind of hard on anatomy. Dakota writes, they're like our proprietary sculptors here, even though they're like our proprietary sculptors here. So at work? Is that at where is this? Should I look up these names? Is that what I need to do? Martin. Oh right, it's slideshow. Yes, I remember now. There we go. Slideshow. Yeah. Okay. Gotta get back in the fold here. We'll start doing some. Okay, let's just look around here a little bit. I kind of want to get a good feel for all the areas before we move on to a higher subdiv. I am doing this though. I know it's gonna make it look more like Tyranitar or whatever that thing from Pokemon. But just think crocodile. You said you had a conversation with them and it was world shattering and uplifting all at once. What was the magical juice? Maybe I should touch. So, you know, I'm quite impatient when like making stuff, and I tend to just like not finish the stuff I make and not go that far with it. I use some mental tricks to help me, and this is a me problem, right? To help me stay focused on like a more long-term thing. And one of the things I do is that if there's a certain area of the sculpt that would be really fun to sculpt and just like kind of like, oh, that feels exciting, I push it. I try to wait with it. So and then I force myself to do everything else around it before I get to do that thing, so it becomes a reward. And one of those things, for example, on this thing is the head. For example, like I think it's always fun to do a head for any kind of creature. It's just, I think it's just how we work. If I did the head first, it would be much faster, where I would feel like this whole thing is finished, right? Because it has a head, and then often when something has a head, it just feels more finished. It's just how it works. So I try to finish. I will try to bring everything up to a more detailed level before I allow myself to go to the head. A little bit of a trick there, that genuinely works for me. It's kind of annoying how that works, but it just does. Okay. I can definitely recommend doing something like Schultz Rice is doing the same thing. Oh, not slideshow, sideshow. Yes, sideshow collectibles. Yeah, sideshow group. You make those. I do not play Fortnite. I do not play Fortnite. I play right now I'm playing nothing, but lately it's been Deep Rock Galactic and Halo Infinite. That's kind of been my jam, but we are planning to do a little bit of a LAN party with a friend, and we kind of want to play Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine, like the new one, because it's you can play 3-player co-op. And I played the first one, and it was a cool experience. I'm not like a big Warhammer guy, or it's not because the story is great or because the gameplay is particularly innovative, but doing it co-op just seems kind of fun. So I'm always looking for great co-op experiences. It's always a good time. Sure, Dakota. See you around. Enjoy your evening. Yes, the last thing you wrote, Dakota, for sure. I think there's a very big difference between, you know, the love and the passion you have for like, or the enjoyment you have for making the art itself versus the enjoyment of like inventing something or like designing something. It's two very different problems. Like design is much more problem oriented. You know, you have a certain thing, you need to design a solution for that, where when you're actually making a piece of art, it can be about like that moment and a little bit more about the craft of like, okay, how can you achieve this artistically, like which tools, which skills are exactly designed for that and that and that, and also the kind of the physical manifestation of the art, like how you use your hands to create a certain brushstroke or something, like plays a bigger role in art than it does in design. Like it can play a role in design, but it's more about design is more about idea and execution and solving a problem, right? See, I really should be going down to the hands, but let's see here if we can create a little bit of a ridge on this one. But yeah, I appreciate it, Dakota. Like, enjoy. Let's see here. You can't trust the symmetry. I feel the symmetry is pretty reliable. Like, you mean this kind of symmetry here? I don't know. I find it's. I never have issues with it really. But if it's just slightly off center, then yes, it can be a pain. But I don't really have the. It's not been an issue that much for me. But there's lots of, you know, lots of special cases where probably it is. Like there, for example, you see, I just forgot to put on X for this thing, so now I need to symmetrize it, but then I just go to, you know, this symmetrize option here, and say symmetrize. Oh, look at that. And why is it symmetrizing like that? Well, it's probably because this one has rotations on it. So I'm gonna apply the scale on all this stuff actually. Then I'm gonna hit symmetrize. And why is it doing that? It's because the origin is not in the middle. You see, then I'm saying things and then it's just causing massive problems. But there's a solution to it, you know? I should probably do the same thing with this thing. 3D cursor. Just saved. I just oh, forgot that thing again. Symmetrize. There we go. You know, I just never I've never developed like that, you know, 10 minutes saving every 10-minute reflex. It's just never been a thing for me. That's a little bit too low maybe. Maybe 5. Yeah, that seems good. So here we need to start giving it some thigh muscles. There we go. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, I think sculpting can, you know, for certain things, it's the way to go. I think that's one of the things I dislike about ZBrush actually, is that, or maybe ZBrush cowboys or people who use ZBrush a little bit too much. It's just that you try to solve everything with sculpting, which makes your stuff look a certain way. It's great if you're a pure sculptor and you're just, you know, you're creating sculptures, then trying to solve everything with sculpting is awesome. But when you're designing or you're just making a model, then I don't think sculpting is always the fastest way. You know, for example, like, oh, you could make a tree, you could just sculpt it. I'm like, yeah, but I could also do like a, I don't know, like a geometry node setup that procedurally generates trees or something like that. And maybe it's gonna be a lot nicer than whatever I would sculpt and be a lot faster also. I think it's, but then if I want to do a character, it's like, it's kind of like it's built for it, right? Okay, maybe a little bit of a snake hook thing going on here. I'm gonna figure out those feet afterwards. Let's switch to these ones here. There we go. I think I'm a fast-ish sculptor, but I've seen some people using Blender getting some real fast stuff going. And I think something really good to practice is like sculpting small. If you know what you're doing, or small sculpting with a low resolution. If you know what you're doing, you can get a lot further than if you're sculpting with too much detail. Like staying low and just really pushing the topology to your advantage can be very, very helpful. Here. Oh, probably a little bit too low here. Let's see, let's put this to 0.5. There. I save every 10 seconds, and honestly, it's a huge problem. Zach, good. Sometimes when drawing on analog media, I try to find the save button. Exactly. Reminds me when I had to clear my hard drive because Photoshop did like temp autosave files, and I have like 600 gigabytes stored in that folder. Yeah, that is a thing. That is a thing. I think I've also lived a life where I always forgot to save and I lost a lot of stuff, and I think it's forced me to like, and instead of developing a habit of saving, I instead developing a habit of like remaking stuff, sometimes from scratch, and I think it builds speed quite well. So there's that, you know, you gain something from that, but sometimes, you know, you did all the work and you feel awful, but you do get a lot of speed from having to like remake stuff, and you get to make something again sometimes with new knowledge, and That can also be quite rewarding. Okay, how do I wanna deal with this thing actually? I got this shoulder coming in here. I got that thing coming in there. It is very Godzilla-like though, this thing. It's not so good. I want it to be a little bit less Godzilla-like somehow. Let's just bring it to the correct scale. Let's see, if I bring in a human now, what will it, how big will it be? I did not say that savers are slower people. I'm just saying that I think I developed a lot of speed from literally having to do that a lot of time. You know, that doesn't mean that people who save aren't fast. I know plenty of people who save all the time who are very fast. I'm just saying that it's a way of developing speed. But maybe it's more funny if you can stir a little bit of drama here. Schultz, is that what you're trying to do? You're trying to mess with my stream? Oh, I just saw the viewers just like tank ever since you said that. No, of course you're kidding, but it's still funny. We need to be able to. Benjamin Udson speed car. He's quick speed car. He just said that saver. Hey, share some of your thoughts on the Unity situation. What is the current Unity situation? Is that the stuff with the pricing stuff? Or them selling off Weta? Oh. Get some water here. So first off, I need to disclose that I have actually worked with Unity in the recent past, before all the stuff, but like basically in 2022 and beginning of 2023, I worked with Unity specifically with the demo team on some stuff at Unity. I have an NDA and stuff, so I can't really talk about anything. But I worked with them, and which was great. That was a great experience working with them. No problem there. It's a huge company after all. It's like 8,000 people or something. And but the pricing situation was very unfortunate. I think honestly, if you I mean, obviously I've been talking about it with everyone I know in the industry, but when it really happened, it was obviously a terrible move from Unity side, but the terrible move was more a matter of communication and the specific model they chose, because I think it made it seem really bad. Unity before had this model where they were doing monthly subscriptions, right? And then you'd have a seat and you pay monthly, and there would be no fee on the game sales, basically. Where in Unreal's case, they take 5% of your game sales. Just 5%. That's just what they do. So you don't pay for using the software the same way you pay when you make over $1 million. You pay 5% to Epic. What Unity introduced, they're like, oh, we're gonna do a per game install deal. I genuinely think their intention was not to. I mean, their intention was to make money, but I don't think their intention was to screw over people. And I think when actually looking at the stuff, then I think the stuff they proposed didn't necessarily screw over people. It just could have, potentially, especially with the way it was worded, and was very muddy as to exactly how it's going to work. And I think the Unity was changing something where basically it meant that people were going to have to pay more money for using Unity or something like that. Or the pricing model changed. And I think when the communication is very unclear, it's more likely that it will spin in the negative direction. And I think that's exactly what happened. Totally to like, and I think that was the right thing, that like people needed to like be like, oh, there's big issues with the way you're communicating this thing right now. What is actually going on? And people were afraid and feel like there was a break of trust, which I totally get. Especially with a lot of the contract stuff and like them kind of retroactively changing things and then changing things here and there in the terms of service. That was awful. That was not the right move in any way. Anyway, but I actually don't think what they tried to implement was monetarily that awful for people. Like, it was worse than what was there before, but it wasn't like, we're just gonna make you pay thousands of dollars. And then they went back on their thing, and then they were like, okay, this is what we want to do. Like, it's either going to be 2.5% of your total game sales or per install, whichever one is lowest. You know, the thing is that like, if they had just come out and been like, yeah, instead we're going to do just 2.5% of game sales. That's our new pricing model. I mean, Unreal is 5%, you know. That's how it is. It's like, we're going to do 2.5%, and then you pay the monthly subscription, whatever, $100 per seat or whatever it is. Then I don't think there have been all this stir. But I think the complicated nature of how they want to do their fee structure was just awful. And I think that was the big thing. And I think the scandal was more that like how poorly it was communicated, how shady it seemed. And I think it's fine that Riccatello stepped down, the CEO of Unity, because if it was his fault, I mean, because he was also selling shares right before it happened. It could also be that he was not on board. There's a bunch of board members, and I think this was almost a culmination of something much worse that happened to Unity, which was that they went on the stock market, right? So 3 years prior, 2 years, I can't remember, Unity went public, right? Public company, so now they had shares that were traded, and they started buying up all these companies, right? You may have remembered that they started buying like Weta, for example. They bought Siva, bunch of companies, some app companies, all kinds of stuff they bought. And they bought those things, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna integrate in Unity. And you're kind of looking at it's like, you bought Weta, like Weta's great, but like, what about game development? They're like, no, we'll buy. It seemed like a very bizarre mix, and they were buying these companies to inflate the value of the company. Because now there's all these like investors and board members who are interested in just inflating the value of the company so they can make money on the stock, right? Which immediately like pulls them away from there. And they also moved the head office. Like, the head office was in Copenhagen, in Denmark. It's a Danish company, and then they moved the head office to San Francisco to make it a Silicon Valley kind of company, like Facebook and these other things, which I think blew up in their face, because what they had to do was just focus on their core business, which is kind of what Epic is doing, but it's also privately held. And now they're paying the price for it, and they kind of had to go back on their word on all that stuff. And they changed, you know, we talked about the changes, and now the Weta thing, where they didn't close Weta, as I've been reading it. They Unity was a Danish company, yes. Unity was a Danish company. That was how it was for the longest. Like, they have a big office here in Copenhagen with like 200 people or something, which was one of the original bigger offices. What was the point? Yeah, so the Weta layoff stuff. So I think the thing was that like Weta wasn't closed, right? It's been now separated from Unity, so they're now their own thing, and they're gonna figure out a way to keep running. But Weta is still Weta. It's not like they just fired. They let them go, so they're no longer on a Unity payroll. They have to be on their own payroll. But it's not like they just destroyed the company. And I think what they got from the thing is that Unity, they get to keep all the tools and stuff and use them probably with a perpetual license or something. And Weta also gets to keep using them. So that's kind of what Unity got out of it, was a bunch of tools and things, which, how useful is that going to be? It depends on how much they're trying to do the whole film stuff. But I think a big thing that I wish that Unity was doing was doing I think they should do more in-house game dev. You know, like I think they should have a department that makes their own games, like Epic Games, because I think you're making a game tool anyways. So just do that. And they used to have that in the past, but then that kind of stuff got closed. And they do some projects and samples once in a while, and then there's whatever the demo team is doing, which is always amazing. So they should just keep. I think they should just have all the money and just let them do like feature films, because they're great. But yeah, so that's kind of my point of view on the whole thing. Yes, Weta Digital, that kind of stuff, etc. Not Weta Workshop, Weta Digital. Weta Workshop was still its own thing. It was not part of the. I think they called Weta FX or something actually instead. But that's my point of view on the situation. So I think it was a shit show. I think Unity really, you know, and that doesn't mean everyone at Unity. It means somebody. I really think it was like a high up board decision member. I don't have any inside knowledge of this. I have no clue what actually went down. But maybe Riccatello was like a scapegoat, because he was like prepared to leave or whatever. Maybe there was it was a very suspicious behavior going on there. But I think there's some bigwigs who, and now they have to do like repairing their reputation basically. Like it's just like, you know, damage was kind of done, and then, you know, that's my opinion. Let's get back to the lizard boy. Also feel free to disagree with me. Like don't take it as gospel, right? It's that's how I see the situation. Let me say it like that. And I've talked to lots of people, like different people, people who are using Unity as part of their game dev, like their work, and many people are like, oh, I probably have to switch to Godot, but like, you know, all that stuff. Maybe a little bit of a skin fold here. I use Unreal Engine, yeah, I do that. I have 2 videos on my channel where I'm making a first-person game. Actually, my 2 most recent videos on my channel, and that's made using Unreal Engine. Unreal is down here in my taskbar. Many aspects of Unity I far prefer over Unreal. Unreal really wants to handhold you and tell you how to do something in a specific way. But I think it is a little bit more powerful, just because the core is like C++, where Unity is C#. But then I've been using Blueprints for everything. I actually have a lot of programming experience in the past, but I think Blueprints is great. Like, oh, am I ready to the face? No, I don't deserve it yet. I need to do a little bit of this kind of stuff here. Wait, how are we gonna do the hand here? Maybe okay, we'll do a little bit of this kind of stuff here. Claws. Yeah, some blading on the legs and arms. I agree. I think that could also be cool. Like I was thinking, you know, I've been watching Antoine. If you're interested in doing this kind of stuff, then Antoine Verny Guérin is like one of the best people for this. Absolutely a beast. Pun intended. Is like for sculpting specifically, right? Like he's done lots of great stuff. It's a great crocodile. Like awesome, like really awesome stuff. Also Giovanni Nakpil, a bit more on like the early sculpting stuff, but this guy has a good sense for detailing the stuff out. Good sense for the texturing. He's been doing this for a while also. I did this dragon recently. That's just awesome. Like a really cool, you know, like a simple dragon, but it's just really good. Like look at the stuff, and he has these nice details of some of the scale he's done on the arms. So we could do something like that. I think that would be great. Oh, we never brought in that character. That was the point. There we go. Yeah, it has some Smaug vibes, for sure. Like the face definitely Smaugish. Very smart. It's like 200 million polys, right? That's the thing. You just have insane amount of detail, but very much like a Smaug. Oh, but it's cool in this retopoed and everything. Should be, and it got all these textures probably from Mari. Yes, from Mari. That's great. Actually, you know what? The size for this thing, pretty on point. Like this is great. I like that. Oh, the chili in the food really messing with me. Can I allow myself to do face? No, not yet. I'm being strong. As we see, we got this thing coming up. Maybe I want a little bit of a better insertion into this kind of thing here from trapezius. Then maybe this thing can kind of come in like this and like that. Then maybe a little bit more of a bulk like that. I kind of want to see if I can show you. I have a technique for creating like scales kind of fast, like as a texture. That'd be fun to try in the shading editor. Where we get this guy a little bit more, a little bit further. Yeah, I kind of like the shape. I think it's I'm starting to not hate it. It's always a good sign. I want to create some neck muscles here that sweep down. And you know, there could be all this like kind of skin folds and stuff, but I like creating that after I've created the underlying anatomy. I just think I get better forms that way. Nice. So we're still pretty low res here, but that's okay. quite a neck there. Maybe that's what I don't like so much about it. And the head could be a little bit more characterful. Maybe this comes out even more. Okay, I'm allowing myself to do the head now. Question is, what kind of head? What kind of? I want to see what we got here, actually. Maybe removing these things here. Alright, let's do the feet a little bit more. Kind of like this really rectangular kind of thing. I think when you see a bear standing up, it kind of has this like, it just becomes a block. I think that's kind of the feeling. Like this very strange. Yeah, there's something about that that I'm trying to captivate. Let's see here. Okay, let's just close this here. Oh, like that. And then, okay, actually, we haven't been going for that long, so I'm not feeling too bad. And we had a crash, and we talked a while about stuff. Oh, you're making a bear? Nice. That's awesome. You're sculpting it? We're making like a cool low poly bear. You're doing the fur? Okay, nice. Oh, I guess you're doing it in Blender. You're using the old hair system or the new hair, or are you sculpting fur, or you're doing like a hair system? Or then, if in Blender, then are you doing the making a buff wolf with a hammer? Nice. But are you using the old hair system or the new hair system? Sack. Old hair system, okay. The old hair system, you know, I like it. It's good. I mean, the new one's probably gonna be great when it's a little bit more developed. But if you wanted to do sim, you still have to use the old one basically. If you want like a plug and play solution, I think. Or if you, I like the simplicity of it also. Probably the new one is hopefully more performant and stuff. But I kind of like this like small head. It's nice big thick tail. I think that's kind of cool. But has the time come to combine the things? I wanna take just a small break from the sculpting here and do some shading work. I want to show you this like scale stuff. I just think it could be kind of fun, because you know you can do lots of this like poly painting stuff, right? You can blah, 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 and this is all amazingly fun, right? But I want to show you some fun stuff we can do with the scale. So I'm actually gonna do a quick poly painting thing on it, and I'm gonna switch to this matte cap over here to see the poly painting very clearly. And we might have to redo all this stuff, but it's just kind of fun. So we're gonna give this, and the way I like poly painting is just kind of, you know, going all out, just putting down some stuff like that, right? Oh, it's definitely easier if it was all connected, but maybe it is the time where I actually connect the stuff. So I'll just join it like that for now. You can always separate it, but poly painting, and then we're gonna get some. I'm just gonna introduce a few. I'm not using any textures or anything like that. Like I definitely could, but I'm just putting in some stuff here, just to see what. Putting down some soft kind of variation of things. I don't have a concept or a specific goal right now. You know, just try some stuff out here. Okay. And I got a kind of foundation here. I'm gonna bring in a lighter color, especially for the front or for the underside of the creature. This is just very, very common in most creatures to have a difference between, you know, your insides and your top. It often has to do with camouflage, but also has something to do with the kind of skin that is there. But mostly camouflage, I would say. And now the eye drop is on X, Shift X, which used to be on S for sample, which I liked, and now S is smooth brush, which is awful. It should be set to scrape instead, because smooth is already on shift. I actually might write on the community like, oh, you could just change it. That's the great thing about Blender. You can, yes, but I want the default to be different. So you can see I created all those like layers, and now we're getting these like quite natural looking colors. And this is just with a round brush. I'm not, you know, I'm not doing any kind of special stuff here. And you know, this kind of stuff. Where we need to do the feet. Like that. Maybe a little bit more of a separation between these guys here. This is always a super fun process to paint your model. I think that's, you know, some of the things that I end up doing a lot with like doing Vista work is just like I try to color it as soon as I can, because then it's like, yeah, this could be used for a shot. If I had to break out a few shots, this would be enough detail for that. But I'm gonna go a little bit further with it. But I think you get the point. That kind of stuff there. Something like that maybe. And you can use all these like masks where you say like cavity mask from cavity, and then like that kind of stuff. Can you hide the mask? Mask. Yeah, so you can hide it like that. Then you see I get to paint just inside the crevices. And things can pop a little bit. Which is quite fun. So it's definitely cool. So then I have my base color here for this thing, and then I can move on. I'm just gonna clear this mask, clear mask, there we go. Then I can move into shading. Then I want to create some scales for this guy. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a material here. I'm gonna call it creature. Can you use a texture mask? I mean brushes. Yes, you can. You can definitely do that. Then I'm gonna get the color attribute. I get the color. And that's just gonna be the creature. Right there and then there. I might bring a sunlight here. Just to have that. It's always nice to have a sunlight. Scene lights, sunlight will be set to 10. I'll set this backdrop to, actually the jungle, maybe that's nice, 0.5. There we go, then we have a little bit of, something a little bit nicer to use for detailing the stuff out. Then I want to create some scales. The way I like creating scales is by using a Voronoi texture. Check what that looks like. It's gonna look something like this. You know, and what I'm actually gonna get, maybe I'm gonna set it to object. Ideally you'd want this to be UV or something, but I'm making do. Have scales like that, kinda. Then use these with a ramp. And then I'll have these together there. Maybe these can be a little bit bigger. Like that, that gives me a little bit of variation. Nice. Then I want another Voronoi noise. The smaller setting. Maybe something set to, so this thing can come in here. Do I want that one, or do I want distance to edge? That's probably the one that I want. And the issue is that these guys are not going to give me much details here. That's not really what is this I'm actually doing? It's just breaking them up more and more. That's not what I want. I just want that. Random is fine. Then I'm gonna get a noise texture, and I'm gonna mix that. Yeah, sure, vector, that's fine. Like that, like that. And I'm gonna mess up the coordinate space here. that. Multiply like that, like that, and then bring that into a displacement height. Okay, there we go. Start adjusting this a little bit here. And then we need to adjust these guys. The question is if I want to use so we're gonna bring that up a little bit. It's a little bit too powerful here. Maybe that's not how I want it. I just want an F1 actually. And the idea is that this one gives you a little bit of variation in the scales, like versus like just having that. Then this gives you a little bit of variation. And then maybe I can get B-spline. Yeah, that looks quite nice. Yes, then I can get this kind of edge around here. That's kind of what I want. Then I have that. Then I want to mix. I want to do a color mix in with that one there. Use. Oh, get the ramp there. Get some kind of screen maybe. Then you get this kind of separation of the scales kind of. We can adjust all kinds of things here. And that can look quite. I've even done some nicer scale in the past. I'm just trying to think of like what exactly would... I feel like another layer of something would really help out. What about... This is quite interesting. Like really messing with the uniformity of these scales. Kind of more like bizarre skin. I had a quite nice approach to it when I was doing my dinosaur a while back. I think like on this guy I ended up doing pretty good scales here. Like this kind of stuff was pretty nice. It's not feeling quite real, I think. And for bigger scales like this, you would just sculpt them in and then paint them, and then do some variation. Let's see here, maybe we can bring down the roughness a little bit. Yeah, I just thought that was a little bit interesting. You get a lot for free, like without, if you just have a poly paint, it starts feeling a little bit real, and then you just have that, and then let's see what does this actually look like in cycles. GPU denoise. You know, it's kind of like it's a thing. It's a thing. It's definitely a thing. I think that was kind of the demonstration for now. Then we have that, and it's gonna be nice when I get to sculpt a little bit more, then we can jump back into the shading, and then we already have something to build on. Okay, cool. I'm gonna get back into the sculpting process. There we go. So we want to remesh everything. If I remesh now, we'll keep the volume, we keep the face, we'll keep the color attributes, and I think I'm ready to going a little bit lower. So I'm gonna go double the resolution up. I'm gonna remesh everything, and then now everything is connected. So we got quite a nice intersection here. Like these kinds of intersections, they work pretty well. They could be cleaned up a little bit here and there. Just give me a little bit more clearance. That kind of stuff, but otherwise it works pretty nice. Just need to smooth out this area here a little bit. There we go. Then we get that going right there. And these guys need to be smoothed out quite a lot. So we're gonna have a little bit of, you know, like some poly paint stuff that's gonna interfere with the stuff. So I'm gonna switch back to the matte cap, and I'm gonna set it just to object, so we have a very clean experience, so I don't get fooled by the color. Now we can actually make a little bit more of a proper transition here between that kind of stuff. We have this leg muscle that probably comes here. It's a little bit weird over there. anyone who has any mega amazing stories or questions, please feel free to ask. I'm in a good sculpting flow right now, so I can handle it. We can talk about anime. I just rewatched Kuroko's Basketball, which is not really that great, to be honest. And it's not that great because I watched Haikyuu before I watched Kuroko's Basketball, and I absolutely love Haikyuu so much. If you don't know what Haikyuu is or Kuroko's Basketball, then Haikyuu is a volleyball anime. Technically it's a manga. It was manga first and then it became an anime, but the anime is it's very good. I really love it. And then after I watched Haikyuu, I was kind of like, oh, I wanna, is there more sports anime? Then at some point I watched Kuroko's Basketball, which is from before Haikyuu, and it seemed like people loved it. They were like, oh, this is great. I'm like, okay, great. And it's so similar to Haikyuu, but it's so much worse. It's not that it's like bad, but it's just, it's way more cheesy, and it's way more like they all have actual special powers and they're a little bit superhuman. Where Haikyuu kind of sticks to stuff being kind of real. And the problem is that, like, in Kuroko's Basketball, they're superhuman enough for it to no longer feel real, but they're also not superhuman enough for it to be exciting. And they're still just playing regular basketball. Like, it's not like a weird fantasy basketball, it's still basketball. But yeah, it's the thing with Haikyuu was that it was one of the best sports anime, also one of the only ones I watched, but one of the best, like, anything I watched that depicts teamwork. It's and also the feeling of like getting better at something. I think it's in media in general, like portraying getting better at something is a really hard thing to visualize, I think. You know, because most people will just, you know, be like, oh, let's just do a training montage and then give them 2 incidents of trying to get better at something. The entire show of Haikyuu is about getting better at something. And it's so cool to watch. I love it. And I think the humor's on point. The dub is decent. I usually watch things with dubs, not because, you know, it's always better in Japanese, like with this stuff, but then when there's a dub, then I don't have to read. I don't like reading when I'm watching something. I want to just look at the content. And I can watch stuff whilst I'm working. So the thing is that, like, Kuroko's Basketball was available on Netflix, and I just rewatched it just to be like, oh, was it really that bad? Because I just saw somebody else mentioning it a while back, and I was like, oh, I'll just put that on to have it on the side. And I think it's not as bad as I remembered it, but it's still nowhere near Haikyuu. And now I'm rewatching Haikyuu, so that's why. Only anime I ever watched was Pokemon, so yeah. I don't like anime. Wow, okay, wrong crowd. There's some anime that's awesome out there. There's some great anime. But I don't actually watch that much anime. I think Attack on Titan is great. And yeah, and I think Haikyuu is awesome. I quite like Evangelion, Neon Genesis Evangelion, pretty good. Except for the ending, I don't like the ending. Haikyuu. So Haikyu. It literally means volleyball in Japanese, I think. It's a very, like, it could have been a live action show. I think it gains a lot from being an animated show. It's quite funny. It's super down to earth. It's not very anime, like for an anime show. It is a shonen thing, if anyone knows what that means. So you have like some high powered characters, but it's so real in so many ways. The characters are quite well written. And what I really like is that it's always about the volleyball. It's never about some personal like, if they have personal dramas, it's because of something relating to volleyball. It's not because, oh my god, you did this thing related to this thing, or this person was hurt over here, and it's always about volleyball, which I think is awesome. That they, all the struggles and problems associated with those things, or the potential things. I just, I love that. And then Vinland Saga, also Netflix, was pretty good. I find it eye straining. I mean, that's fair enough. I will not. I know other people who feel the same. I think most of the stuff is, but I think there's some select few things from like, you know what, that is just also some things that look great. I think some of the animation, for example, in Haikyuu is just absolutely amazing. Like they have a amazing sense for turning the human body in space, which I think is really, really cool. And a great sense for timing and dynamicness, like completely unparalleled to anything else. It's kind of like a weird. Does anyone know anything about planes? It's always been this thing that, like, I know a lot about rockets, but not so much about planes. It's just never, like, I think some planes are just beyond cool. It's never like stuck. I think it's the same thing with like birds. Like, I think I know definitely more than the average person about animals. Like, really fascinated by animals. Watch a lot of animal documentary stuff all the time. Research animals constantly. But birds, I just like the whole thing of like, oh, that's a red nip or something like this. I've just never, like, all these bird names. It just feels like it's like one of those more common things that people know. The same thing with like trees, like knowing trees and leaves and stuff. Just never. I feel like my interests were always, it's like, well, why are you interested in that? I'm like, well, I just am. I was interested in all the things that everyone else wasn't interested in. But planes, yeah. I kind of wish that there's some cool planes out there, like SR-71 Blackbird is a cool plane. And I know the F-Raptor family of planes, you know, like F-16, F-22, F-35, that kind of stuff. I know some World War II planes, but that's kinda, you know, that's kinda it, you know. You know, I know like a B-2 bomber, I know a B... Oh, what's the other B bomber? There's a B-2 bomber with the modern one, and then there's the old one, the B-42 or B-48. The classic one with like the cockpit that inspired the Millennium Falcon. Rockets, I know a lot about rockets. I just find them so fascinating. Just like an entire company dedicated to just making one thing go up. There's something really, I don't know, something so interesting about that. Greg Budry, what's up, bro? What's up? Welcome to the stream. If you're Ryan Taylor, I feel like I find it hard to learn about stuff unless I have a project related to it. Then suddenly it becomes really interesting. Yeah, no, I think it's. Oh yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that also happens. Like for sure, if I'm doing something with a project, I hyper focus on it. But I think also, quite often I'll just watch a YouTube video and then I'll be really interested in, I don't know, housing prices, and then I'll start researching housing prices. And I have this belief that everything I learn is relevant, you know, and that's not always the case, but it just, the world is kind of unpredictable. I never know what piece of information I might need, and you can't remember everything, but in general I have a decent like system for maintaining lots of different kinds of facts. But I think I'm also very good at the knowledge I have. I apply it quite fast. I make a project or I think about something. You know, I don't just like watch a video and then like oh okay, now I'm done thinking about that thing. Then I like, oh, I watched it, I'm gonna think about it, and it's not like a conscious thing, it's just like obsessive. And then hopefully that will cement the stuff a little bit more than if I hadn't otherwise. But some things I'm really bad at, like remembering song lyrics. It just doesn't stick. And I also miss-sing songs. Like the melody, I sing them wrong. And I can sing some of them correct, but I change them in my head. And I think it kind of alludes to how I save information. I think I compress a lot of information and be like, oh okay, I learned this and this and this. For me to remember all this crap, I have to compress it and develop a system for it so that it can be stored. And that has the consequence that it changes music in my head, I think. I don't know what else the explanation is. I could also just be like, oh, you're just bad at memorizing music. And that's also fair, but I think that's what's happening if you want to be, you know, interesting about it. Plexi has the same fascination with cars. Okay, so you know about cars, yeah? What's your take on Cybertruck? Hate it or love it? Great Beauty. Is it Godzilla? It's not Godzilla, but it's very Godzilla-like. You know, it's in that kind of realm for sure. Schultz writes, I have an interest in like space, life, planets, animals, chemical composition, and so on, but instead I remember like 1 million song lyrics. Oh yeah. I feel like that's just the thing. When I saw a Cybertruck, when it was like, they're like, we're gonna make this car, I'm gonna make it look like this, I was like, finally there's a car for me. I love the design. I don't really care about like whatever, anything. I just, it's so like striking and different. I love that. And maybe it's just different to be different, but I love that kind of stuff. I really, really like what Cybertruck looks like. Rip my hair out, and I love it. And I think this is the thing where people like hate it or they love it. I really like it. I love it so much. It's like one of the few cars in the past many years that is like trying to make a decision, like, or actually trying to be something different and innovate a little bit. Like, and they're gonna, you know, make a bunch of mistakes, 100%. You know, a bunch of crap that that's not gonna work out because they're trying everything new. But I think there's a lot of derivative design in car design. Sometimes there's some cool things like the look. I love the look of Cybertruck. I think it's so awesome. There was this car a way back called the Peugeot Quartz, I remember. Which I remember there was something about like the doors or something, and there was something with the I think it was just a concept car. It was never gonna be like, yeah, there's something about the doors, and it's just, it looks like it's a much more I kind of still like this car, but it's a much more generic design. And it's like, yeah, sure, like design wise it's like it's all correct and accurate and it's a good design, but it's just not as much of a decision. And this is one of the ones I like more. It's not like as much of a decision as Cybertruck is a decision. Like, this is too much still like car for me, like and it's still nice, but it's just not hitting the head hard enough. It's like, it's not iconicness. One thing that kind of comes close was the BMW fabric car, or the skin car, like this thing, completely whack out there. But I'm like, yeah, like let cars look like this, even if it's stupid, you know. Like, and it would not be feasible because I mean somebody could have this and then it'll be like the Sunday when it's all nice and warm outside car, like that's fine. But it's Mercolino. But I think a Cybertruck is a car that's actually like trying to look different. Oh yeah, this car. I've seen this car. Cars. And I've watched my fair share of Top Gear and Grand Tour. I love that. And you don't watch that for the cars, but then the passive information is just stuff about cars. Does anyone remember that show? There was a show called Scrap Heap Challenge. I think you could watch it on like Discovery Channel or something back in what, late 2007. The Mazda Furai concept car was really cool looking though. The Mazda Furai. No, that's too much like just I'm a car trying to look cool. I don't mean to shit on you on what you like. I'm just like, for me it's like trying too much to be a cool looking car. I think some cars that, oh, now I'm trying to think. There was this car, some of the what are they called, Le Mans car. Oh, I remember this car. This is ridiculous. Yeah. Like, this is great. Like, this kind of stuff. This is absolutely perfection. I love this. This is some of the best things that like a car can be. I actually quite like this one also. This is a good car. It's a good car. I think DeLorean is also a good car for sure, like classic car, but you kind of have to say that, right? There's lots of cars that are great. I can't name them on top of my head. I quite like the, oh, that's interesting. What? Oh, that's interesting. What kind of cars? Oh, it's a Tesla car. What is it? it's somebody who made this. Okay, somebody just made this. Ooh, what is this? Oh yeah, that's very good. That's a good car. I like that. That's ridiculous. I kinda like it. There was this one called the Mono X or something. Car. Yeah, I kinda like this. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. There's also a yeah, some other stuff. Okay, back to the creature boy. No, I get the flowy headlights. I think that's like its key feature, like that it has those things. But then, okay, if you want to talk about the stuff, this is what I would do. So Mazda Furai. So for me, like it has two. I think also it's not helping with all the patterns and stuff on it. I think so. So this is its main feature, right? Like these like weird, almost elven stuff here. Then I don't need anything else to distract from this. So this needs to be gone. Just like simplify all this, like make it like clean, and just make everything about that thing right there. That's what I would do essentially. Like all this other stuff is like it's taking away from the thing that's cool. What the hell? What is this? Is so weird. That's it looks like a ZBrush car. That's what it looks like. This ZBrush cowboy would make this. Generally, I think older cars just look better than modern cars. That's my. It's a different design language for sure, but they just do. What is? I've never really wanted a car. Also, I live in Denmark. It's like we have bikes, and so that's bikes are fine. But the Cybertruck is generally like the only car I would like actually want, just because it's so out there looking. I'm just like, yeah, this is great. It's electric, so. Okay. Let's look at the. Should I do the mouth open? Your wife's Prius, nice. I always thought the hybrid cars were ridiculous, like, and they were like, no, it's gonna be hybrids. Hybrids are like hybrids never ever, because you have two systems that equals not efficient. That's never gonna work. You want to have one efficient system, whether it's gasoline or electric. I mean, all cars in the future will be electric or hydrogen, but I think electric is more likely. Hydrogen is too annoying to deal with. Okay, how do we... should I give it a... So that's the question now, is that should it have an actual... Oh, we'll just have a closed mouth, that'll be fine. nullify, right? For fictional creatures like this, how do you come up with the anatomy of them and make sure it all looks real and cohesive? Makes real and cohesive. So I would say there's like there's basically like two ways of going about it. There is like, if you just study human anatomy, right, then you get a feel for how human anatomy works. If you study animal anatomy, like how animals work and stuff like this, then you get a more generalized understanding of how muscles and stuff work. If you study a lot of animal anatomy and not just study like animal anatomy, but specifically animal behavior and evolution of said animals, like in the evolution part, I really want to emphasize the evolution part more than anything else. Oh, we lost the music. Gonna go back here to the beginning. The evolution part, then I think you'll get an even more general understanding of like why certain types of muscles or like anatomical functions support the kinds of stuff that they do, and how different lineages of animals have developed similar features, you know, with different resources available, like in terms of like the anatomy, right? So for example, you have something like a dolphin, right, which is in all intents and purposes in terms of function is a lot more similar to a shark than it is to a dog, but anatomically it's much more similar to a dog, right? Because both dolphins and dogs are mammals, and they have like, you know, similar lineages, where a shark is like 500 million years of evolution apart. Maybe not 500 million, but 400 million or whatever years apart from like dogs and dolphins. But they're solving the issues in different ways. So like the dolphin, you know, it swims like this, where a shark is like this, right? But the kinds of muscles they need to develop to do the stuff is kind of similar, but also different. So I would say that like I've done a lot of studying, and especially evolution, to understand like what muscles do what for what kinds of purposes, and a lot of the time it has to do with like balancing out the right sizes of muscles and then creating certain, like, so this is not correct anatomy, but it feels somewhat correct, and that's because I want to be a little bit alien, right? But I know that a certain muscle in that direction with an insertion there will give the feeling of those kinds of things, right? So I hope that this is a satisfactory answer. That's cool, because now we got a little bit more detail, and then you can literally just pop over to this thing, and then we get all the scales. Awesome. Obviously it doesn't work that well in the head, but that's okay. I really need some detail in the head though. Okay, we'll go down to this one. How many polys are we on now? Now we're on 1 million polys, which is still not that much, but you know. I've definitely done a bit more detail on the level we were at before jumping in here, but I wanted to do the head, and I just needed the detail. little bit turtle-like, right? No. Remember to save. Greg also asked, oh wait, what did you write? Oh no, I have a hybrid Camry. I absolutely love it. I think there's a reason to go. No, I mean, I understand why the hybrid stuff works. I'm not saying they're bad cars. I think simplicity is going to be the future. Any case, I'm sure Toyota knows what they're doing. Remember to save. Yes, the refees. First time here. Monster looks lush. Keep it up. Cheers. Did you ever see that documentary, The Future is Wild, where they predict what future evolution will be like? It's pretty ridiculous. Yes, I've seen that. It's great. And Gabo, hey, what's up, man? Some kaiju's, nice. Yes, this is some kaiju stuff. 100%. See, this is stuff I don't like, where stuff gets a little bit too close to each other. I guess I could have some face set stuff. But now I think we can do a little bit of scales on the hands and stuff. That's what Schultz was requesting at some point. Wasn't Schultz requesting that? Then we can do this kind of stuff here. Or, wait, you know what? Let's use the masking tool. And then... how do we... so, Shift F, and then we get the hardness. Oh, why did I not know that? And we can do a cool scale pattern here on the arm. Like that. Subdivs, do you mean resolution? Because there's no subdivs on it. Resolution is just 1 million polys. that going on. Probably also want something like that on the back, maybe. So, you know, so I'm masking all this out, and then I can do one big operation where everything gets pulled out at once. Maybe we'll leave the core there exposed a little bit. That'll feel kind of cool. How long have I been going for? I've been going for 3 hours. Damn. Ah, that doesn't feel completely awesome. It's a little bit interesting. Yeah, okay, that's a bit better. Slightly bigger shape there. Like that. And then maybe on the legs as well. Definitely on the feet. Give me some questions, something I can converse on whilst I'm giving these any other controversial topics from the industry, or just no, let's not do controversial topics. That's not a that's not a gate I want to open. We can talk about industry stuff. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. What about something like practical versus like digital effects? Anything? What is Schultz writing here? Maybe some of the scales on the back should go in the middle along with the spine down where the tail start. So what I'm thinking is that like this is gonna be this weird like soft area. That was kind of the intent there actually. So I'm actually trying to avoid doing that. Not to be Rasmus modsat. That's Danish for Rasmus opposite, or like kind of just saying the opposite. Okay, cool. Then I want to, first of all, I want to go into poly paint. There we go. Wait, what was there were some other questions here. Greg Beauty, have you seen Boily Hobbies Imaginary West miniatures on YouTube? I have not. That's practical versus digital. Okay, what is? I have no clue what this is. Boily Hobby. No clue what this is. Or creating like little dioramas and things. Oh, I have a couple of friends who are just absolutely in love with like dioramas, anything dioramas. This is some cool stuff. I'm kind of looking at it on my secondary monitor here. That's funny. That's cool. Right. Yeah, it just goes really far. with the stuff. That's crazy. I think I have like an aversion to dioramas, to be frank. Like it's just really not my thing. Like these small miniature like things. I think it's the craft is absolutely amazing and awesome. And I have some friends who are just like, they would die for this kind of stuff, and getting to do this kind of stuff. It's like, oh, making diorama. I don't know. There's something about it. I just like don't. I don't think I like miniature stuff. I have my entire apartment is full of like, wow, and he's doing that. That's crazy. But this craft is impeccable. Like I have around 200 dinosaur toys like this in my living room in my apartment. They're scattered all over like the window seals and stuff like this, and that I'm down with. I think that's great. Yeah, that's great. So this is really cool stuff. Though I'm actually gonna send this to some friends because I think they would like love that kind of stuff. Okay, what was I doing here? I was inverting the mask, and then I can paint, and the way I'm gonna paint it is I'm gonna multiply the stuff. I'm gonna multiply it with something that's a bit more desaturated. There we go. Ooh, that's too much. Actually, something like that. Quite like that. And then, what do I want to do here? Do I want to, maybe I want to inflate, or do I want to blob? No, I want to inflate. Then here we can get all these scales to just pop out. Look at that, it's like magic. It is like magic. Pow, pow, pow. I'm getting all that stuff there. A little bit in the face here. Pow, pow, pow. Yeah, give me that, give me that. I quite like him from the front actually. Like his face right now is amazing. He could use a lot more detail, to be frank, but pretty good. Schultz, oh, thanks, great. I will save. I will of course save. Thanks for joining. See you around some other time. Enjoy. Gabo asked, have you seen Godzilla -1? No, but we did talk about it earlier in the stream. So if you have the time, you can scroll back, and then there my opinions on that are there. Okay, and I still have the mask. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna go here and create a new color attribute. New color attribute, there we go. We're gonna call it scales. This is gonna have all the scales in them. And we do that so that we can select the stuff in the shader. There we go. And we're actually just gonna color filter, fill, yeah, like this. There we go. And we're gonna paint in some other stuff as well. So now I think we can we clear the mask? Will I need it for something else? Oh, that'd be great if we could save masks. Clear mask. There we go. And then I can paint in this stuff here. This is a little bit hard to see. There we go. Okay, there's some backface stuff going on here. How do we adjust that? We do front faces only. There. That kind of stuff. There we go. Like so. I'm basically creating a black and white mask for all the scale areas, and then so I have some control over them in the shading editor, and I might include a little bit of these kind of stuff here. It doesn't have to be super neat. It's not a prime time model anyways. It's just a little I like the shoulders in the front from Greg. That's great. Liking shoulders. I had this teacher once. He was like, he was a weird teacher. He was like, I really like my wife's collarbones. Okay, that's just so funny. So specific. She has very beautiful collarbones. It's just. It's just hilarious. Greg has a question there. So here's a question, and I don't know the answer, but I've heard that beings aren't totally symmetrical. Is there a way that you account for that in your sculpting? No. So, you know, we are symmetrical, or we're supposed to be symmetrical, but due to the way stuff grows and like slight randomness, then we are inherently asymmetrical. But nature tries to make us symmetrical, right? We have two arms, we have two legs, and we have some kind of symmetry in the head. I do not account for that in the sculpting, but for example, when I'm doing the scales, like procedurally with the shading, they will be asymmetrical, and that creates a little bit of variance. Not the scales I sculpted, but the stuff in the shader. But for the actual topology, I'm not creating any variance. I know that on bigger projects, then people do create a little bit of variance here and there, but more often it comes down to like surface details, like scratches and things, or if something has, you know, like atopia, or if it has like a very distinct like asymmetrical thing. But generally, you want to avoid asymmetry if you can, because like in a pipeline, it can be quite impractical. Because basically you would start having to do things twice. instead of just having something be easily mirrored. That's the color there. Maybe actually I'll bring in some claws here as well. Why not? Why not? Kind of want to do them separately, but now they're a part of it. Very kaiju Scylla-like, for sure. And I think I might create a mask more called top. And this one is just a mask to essentially separate the top from the bottom. Ah, do I need that actually? I could just use the mask from the... Ooh, I like this color thing though. I really like this color thing. Maybe I'll keep that actually. Just whatever I have going on here. Kind of feels like a cool jacket. And then it can trail off a little bit, like that. And then it doesn't go down to the arm. Yeah. Oh, I like this. Yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do here. Okay, so I got that going on there. Let's do a little bit of a color pass here. We still have so much detail we could put on this guy. We just don't have the time. We just do not have the time. So I'd rather do a little bit of stuff with the textures. Maybe I will... We'll darken some stuff a little bit here. That seems like a good thing to do. Multiply. Just darken this a little bit. There. And you could have these things where you have basically, oh, like a little bit of kind of like surface scratches where it's lost a little bit of color. And you could also do this like procedurally, but I think doing it like this, then you get a little bit of like kind of that hand touch. That can look quite nice. Just like a little bit of that kind of stuff. It just gives it a bit of... I think you get what I'm going for here. Oh, what am I doing? That's not what I want. Dots? No. What did I... space. Why is it like that? What did I turn on? Stabilize stroke, is that what okay. I did not know that was a thing. It's a pretty fun creature to sculpt, I'm not gonna lie. And hey, we spent like 3 hours. 3.5 hours, I guess we had some time where we weren't doing something. 3 hours probably. We got here. I think that's actually, I feel pretty good about that. It's not because it's all about speed, but just I like measuring myself. Oh, that sounds so wrong in every single way. I'm so sorry. I like timing myself. Just for you know, ignore what I said before. That sounds so stupid. Who doesn't, you know? Who doesn't like measuring themselves? You know, it's timing your speed and stuff. It can be quite useful. It can be good to time yourself and just like having a good idea of how fast it takes you to do something. I just find that I'm more likely to try something out in a project or something if I have a good idea of what I can accomplish at that time. And I'm pleased. I'm like, yeah, okay, actually this turned out nice, kind of it's a decent decent sculpt. Oh, it doesn't look too bad. Lizard king, or I don't know. Maybe it looks like a monster hunter creature. Could be, could be. Give it a little bit of too much pinkness here in the mouth. And then tone it down. Then bring in some stuff like this. He does look kind of happy, no? Got a big smile going. Okay. Then we got that. Then let's jump into the shading stuff here. And this will be the last thing we'll do for the stream. So I think the sculpt itself is done for now. Just like letting you look at the sculpt here. This is kind of the sculpt that we got out of this experience. Then I want to do some shading to help see our guy. So the first thing we got here is that we got this kind of nice other color attribute thing, which was the one called top, and I want to use that together with a mix here like that, and then maybe we'll just multiply something on top of that, get something pretty dark there, or pretty bright. Let's see what we're getting here. Oh, that's top. Right. So what I want is, oh, do I want something bright? What do I actually want here? Oh, I don't know. So I want something that doesn't affect that thing there. So I want that, and that goes in there. Or like an overlay. We can just use it for some variation. Oh. Kind of interesting. A little bit of variation there. That's fine. Then we want to get this scale stuff here. Scales, and we want to have a mix. I'll get a mix node here. I'm gonna put this into the mix, and then whatever is A gets to go onwards. Is that how it is? Or is it the other way around? It's probably the other way around. Nope. Yeah, it's something like that, so that the scales do not appear on these things. Obviously that one does, so maybe we should do this a little bit earlier. So we have that thing going on, and we have that thing going on. So we have let's see what we got here. Come on. Okay, yeah, that's the same effect. Why? So that thing is coming in there, then this thing needs to go here. There we go. That's what we wanted. Or is it? Oh no, that's the wrong way around. That's the wrong way around. Because we got this here now. Those are the scales. The scales went in here, like that. So this thing is mixing and becoming that, which is not what we want. We want this thing to become white. But then this thing is gonna do the wrong thing. Yeah, we want that thing to be the opposite. What do we get from that actually? That's not good. Okay, I need to clean this up a little bit. So we got these guys, these guys, these guys, these guys. These guys are coming together. Let's just make this simpler. These guys and these guys, and they get multiplied together like this. Then we get this. Then we get this right now. These things here. That seems not bad. Like that. Cool. Then I think on top of that we could get another Voronoi like this, but then this Voronoi is gonna be distance to edge like that. Yeah, so we're gonna wrap this one. We're gonna get that kind of a map. That kind of map, and we're gonna multiply those two things to. Oh wait, actually it needs to be the other way around. We're gonna get this kind of a map. Yep, there we go. Math. Multiply together. Then we're gonna get something. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, then we get this. Then we're gonna get something that's a little bit more kinda scaly. That's gonna create some good little scales for us there. Then we have whatever that is. like a bigger pattern. There we go. There we are. So these are our scales. These are the scales. All of them over there. So those scales we only want to appear certain places. We only want them to be on the non-stuff we have painted. So we'll say math. Nope, we'll say mix. So it'll be all this stuff that will look like. Hopefully it'll look correct. Yeah, that's exactly what it needs to be like. So this stuff, we'll get rid of this. We'll get rid of. Oh, that's interesting actually. This is gonna go there. That's gonna be reversed. And that's not what we want. Because we do want this stuff to be that color, but we don't want this stuff. So we're gonna create another one of these that are gonna be reversed. Wait. No, that's not correct. Then it gets added to the stuff. So we're gonna create an add node here. Or I guess a maximum actually. To that. And then it's gonna be white on all the scales but not the cracks. Yes, that's exactly what we want. Gonna put that in there. And that's gonna look like. Yes, that's exactly what it's supposed to look like. And then this one gets to go over here. It's just a multiply. There we are. 1.5. Then you're gonna get the best scales. Yeah, look at those scales right there. That's what you want. And now we can adjust all these things very neatly, which is exactly what we want to do. This one we can even create these little areas. It's just for some kind of variation like this. Can be kind of nice to make stuff look a little bit aged. Like that. And then this one can be used for that kind of stuff, I guess. Make the scales a little bit denser. Then we have the skin up here. Just give it a slight hue variation. Right there. Nice. The biggest problem is that we also have some stuff to deal with in the front. Then we have our scales. Let's see what we got going on here. We got, what kind of mask do we have here? We have that thing, so we want this thing as a mask for. roughness. We want the exact opposite of this. Something along these lines here, with this kind of slowly perching in. I have a pretty old CPU actually. My CPU is an AMD Ryzen 3600. So it was kind of when they started doing the whole Ryzen stuff. 3600 was very good at the time. But I bought that in 2019, I think, and I've had that ever since. Then I have a GTX 3060, and then I have 32 gigs of RAM. And it's been working well for me for a while. I think the next thing I would upgrade is definitely my CPU, and then getting up to at least 64 gigs of RAM. I don't have like mad specs at all. I kind of like having not insane specs, just because I get used to. I don't get dependent on having just an insane computer where I can just throw, threads, throw CPU power at at it. Basically, it's good to be limited. Okay, nice. We got the scales like that. Let's go to sculpt mode again. I'm gonna create another mask. Oh, we're closing in on 4 hours. I'll create another mask here called simple. This thing is for. But that was the thing. Should I do that with the texture? Maybe I'll do that with the texture. So I'll use this color map here. I get a ramp. And I want to separate out some things here. I'm going to do exactly the opposite here. I'm going to use this to decrease some stuff. I'm going to use this to multiply the effect. Yes, exactly. So we get detail in here is a little bit less, and here's still a little bit too much. We'll just decrease this to like this amount here. Maybe I wanna, these should have the same value. Get bigger, larger scales. This kind of feels appropriate. bit of subsurface. We can use the same mask here. This kind of a thing. Then we get the opposite of this. This kind of a feel here. Plug that into the subsurface. Boop. To the weight. Boop. And then the subsurface skin. There's no subsurface color anymore, right? Is that how it is? Gives a little bit of feel in there. I do not have a pet. Don't have a pet. We just had a cat for like 3 weeks. Holy shit. There's no subsurface color. Am I stupid here? Didn't it used to be a subsurface color, or is it just imagining things? But nonetheless, I feel like this kind of worked out pretty well. It could do with some like scratches and some like roughness variation on the parts, but otherwise I think it's kind of there-ish, no? Gonna reduce the world weight a little bit here. Get some of that like Jurassic Park lighting. Something a little bit more sinister. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, no? I think this is where I'm gonna call it. But I'm pretty happy. It's definitely turned out pretty good. I think the scales could have been a little bit, probably done a bit more stuff to the scales to make them a little bit less uniform. They feel a little bit too stylized, but that's okay. What happened to the cat? We had a cat for 3 weeks. We were just taking care of it for some friends. So that's what's happening. And stuff like that. And we made a kaiju. I think I'm gonna have to wrap the stream. It was been going for 4 hours, and you guys have been holding out for quite some time. So we're gonna wrap it here. I hope you enjoyed the sculpt session. I hope you got an insight. I hope you learned something. I hope it was fun. I had a lot of fun. This was great. Oh, look at that. That's the kind of lighting we want here, to really show off the stuff. And then we need to create a little bit of a plane here. Oh, and then we only see the head there. That's brilliant. So yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for watching. We have to end on some tax evasion tips. Just claimed that a kaiju is ramping. Is on a rampage through the streets. I'm sure that they'll be like, okay, fair enough. I've seen the movies. no need to pay your taxes. So that's the tax evasion tips for today. See you all in the next one. Thank you so much for joining, and sleep tight or wake up or have a day, whatever it is. Peace.